How to read history. So history is the study of the past and how it shaped the present and the future. It also happened to be my major for undergraduate, so I studied economic history. It's not just a collection of dates and names, but a rich and complex narrative of human experiences, actions, and consequences. History helps us understand ourselves, our societies, and our world better. But how can we read history effectively and critically? How can we avoid being misled or biased or slipping into the trap of inaccurate sources? How can we appreciate the diversity and complexity of historical perspectives, which are as infinite as the human mind? How can we connect the past with the present and learn from it? These are the questions that any historian or reader, even of pop history, will want to ask themselves. So I'm going to share some basic tips and rules for reading history that will help you become a more informed and engaged reader of history. First, distinguish facts from opinions. Facts are verifiable statements that can be proven by evidence, such as dates, names, places, events, etc. Okay? Opinions are personal judgments or interpretations of evidence. They may or may not be supported by this evidence. Arguments, claims, evaluations. These are interpretations. When reading history, you should be able to identify which statements are facts and which are opinions, and then, because you know the difference, evaluate successfully the validity and reliability of these claims. Second, compare different sources. Sources are materials that historians use to reconstruct and interpret the past. Documents, artifacts, images, testimonies, etc. Anything that's recorded by a human can be one of these sources. Sources can vary in their quality, quantity, type, origin, purpose, perspective. Even stones keep a record. So in reading history, you should compare different sources to check their consistency, completeness, credibility, bias, and get a broad picture by looking across a range. You should also consider the context and background of your sources. Who created them? When? Where? Why? How? In what medium? Who is the intended audience? 3. Evaluate different interpretations. So interpretations are the explanations or meanings that historians give or attribute to the past based on these sources. And there's various methods, theories, and arguments they can use, but the interpretations vary in their scope, depth, focus, approach, and perspective. So when reading history, you should evaluate different interpretations to assess their strengths and weaknesses, the evidence and the logic they use, and some of the assumptions or implications within them. You should also consider the perspective and purpose of the historians who made them. 4. Relate the past to the present. This is a big part of why we read history, the motivation. The past isn't isolated from the present or the future. It influences and shapes the now and the tomorrow in many ways. When reading history, you should relate the past to the present by identifying similarities and differences, the continuities and the changes or the breaks, the fractures, the causes and effects, the lessons and challenges. You should also reflect on how your own present situation affects your understanding of the past. Reading history is not a passive or simple activity. It requires active and critical thinking skills that you're going to help develop a deeper and broader appreciation of humanity. By following these tips and rules for reading history, you'll be able to read history more effectively and, I hope, more enjoyably. Comment below. It was a short one today. The playlist is up and to my right.